we have here? I'm a tiger. Happy Halloween to celebrate Halloween. Obviously, a popular thing to do at Halloween time is to watch Halloween themed movies. People watch like horror movies and whatnot, but as a kid, I was like terrified of horror movies. Actually, I like them now because they're the only movies that can actually keep me engaged because my attention span is non-existent. However, as a child, I was terrified of horror movies, so I watched a lot of DCOMs, which, if you're unaware what that stands for, Disney Channel Original Movie, which is a lost art. I don't think they make those anymore, which is really disappointing because those were the best. Like High School Musical, Camp Rock, like all of the iconic movies from our childhood were DCOMs for the most part. Hello? My door just opened a little bit. I hope it's a dog and not a ghost. Because if you guys watched my most recent video, you would know that I've been having some spooky occurrences. Also, I had another one. My drawers on my desk were all open. And to be fair, I was looking for something in them earlier that day. But to get to the drawer underneath the first drawer, you have to close the first drawer, so they wouldn't have all been opened. Hey, kind of weird. Let me see if someone's at the door. Okay, just close it and it opened again. I think, though, my boyfriend is taking the dogs out, though, so I think the door opening and closing made a pressure change and maybe made it open. I don't know. So, where was I? DCOMs, okay? So, obviously, there's the classic Halloween Disney Channel movies that everyone watched, Halloween Town, the whole franchise. There's like 5 of them, which those are great. I used to watch those every year. Twitches was always a classic. And then there was like Hocus Pocus, which was also a Disney Channel original, I'm pretty sure. So I'd watch all of those as a child. And also another lost art was like back in the day, like TV shows would have Halloween themed episodes because they would come out like weekly or whatever, which is a complete lost art with streaming because episodes are just released like all at one time now. I think we need to bring back that because those were always the best episode. The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody episode with the haunted hotel room, that literally scared the crap out of me as a kid. Like genuinely was scary to me. Maybe we should dig back into, maybe next year I'll do a video rewatching the themed episodes. We'll see. And like the Pretty Little Liars, I know that's not Disney, but which Disney owns ABC, right? ABC Family, yep. Their Halloween episodes were always, so good and like genuinely scary. Okay, so all that to say, so like back when my family had like Time Warner Cable and they had this thing called On Demand on the TV, which would just have like, does Time Warner Cable even exist anymore? I don't know. They had the On Demand feature, which just had like a catalog of TV shows and movies that would come on cable, but you could watch them at any time. It was like basically streaming before streaming. But they had all the DCOMs on there, and I would watch the movie that I'm going to talk about today, which is Girl vs. Monster, which came out in 2012, and I would have been 12. So I'm sure I watched it when it premiered, but also I watched it like every year until like probably throughout high school. Like I loved this movie. And so I rewatched it this past week, and so we're going to do a little recap, see if it was still as good as I remembered. So yeah, let's get right into it. It's starring Olivia Holt, who icon. I believe she also, was she in Liv and Maddie or was that someone else? No, she was in Kickin' It. It was on Disney XD, I think. I don't think I ever watched that. All right, so the movie starts off with a band rehearsing in this house where there's a bunch of other kids that are teenagers that are setting up for a Halloween party. And Olivia's character is named Skylar, and she's there helping set up, and she notices that the sign that's hanging above that says something about the party. It says like Halloween party or something stupid like that. She notices it's a little crooked. It's like hanging from the stairs because it's like a balcony kind of thing. And she notices it's a little crooked. So what does she do? Yeah, exactly what you would expect someone in a Disney movie to do, right? She she gets her friend Henry to like kneel on the ground and give her a boost up so she can like launch up in the air and hit it, like gets less crooked. I don't know how it works, but she does it, and she does like a somersault and lands flawlessly, and everybody in the room applauds her because of course. Oh, also I need to get off centered because I'm gonna be putting things up on the screen. And then there's this one member of the band, a boy named Ryan, who is like looking at her in awe. He's like, oh my God, I can't believe she just did that. Like, she's so amazing. And they have a little chat, and she says something about how she's been doing gymnastics for like 6 years, and that's how she can be able to do that. And then he asks her if she would like to sing with the band, just for fun, just to rehearse a little bit more. So she gets up on stage and just perfectly performs the song. With no practice or anything. So, truly, a revolutionary talent, if I do say so myself. But don't get too comfy, Skylar, because you're not going to be performing at the party. No. And you know who's going to make sure of that? Myra. Our girl Myra. Enter our villain, our bully, our redheaded mean girl Myra, who is supposed to be singing with the band at the party. And she is also Ryan's girlfriend. Because of course, of course, right? How much more cliche could we get? And so Myra comes in and she's like, we're rehearsing here, so why don't we take it from the top, and this time with a professional singer, referring to herself. So, I don't know what makes her a professional singer. I don't know what makes anyone a professional singer, that you get paid for doing it, but I got tipped one time while doing karaoke. Does that make me a professional singer? No, I don't think so. So that was a lie. I've never gotten tipped for doing karaoke. I get booed and thrown tomatoes at. Skylar gets off the stage, and of course Ryan is gazing at her longingly as she goes. So Skylar got two friends. She's got Sadie and Henry, and Sadie's her girl best friend, and as they're leaving, she's like, Ryan totally likes you, Skylar. And she's like, no, he has a girlfriend. Like, Sadie's like, no, they broke up, actually. Again. And then Skylar's like, again? Like, they get back together and break up all the time, supposedly. Also, hold on. Can I give you guys a tangent real quick? Last night, I went to go see the Colleen Hoover new movie with McKenna Grace. Now, look, I'm a Colleen Hoover hater. I've never read one of her books, and I never plan to. And I felt really bad giving her my money, but one of my friend of a friend's asked me to go, and I'm trying to become better friends with her. So I was like, yeah, I'll go. And also, I saw the trailer and it looked pretty good, and I love McKenna Grace, so I wasn't complaining. And look, I love some movie theater popcorn. So, and that movie. It watched like DCOM. It really did like a little bit more raunchy of a DCOM. Like you couldn't show it on Disney Channel, but like the clichéness was killing me. Oh my God! If you guys can pirate that movie and you just need a good laugh, like I highly suggest it. Also, while I'm on this tangent, look up the trailer for the movie Primate. It's like it played before the movie. Oh my God, you guys! I've never laughed. I think it was supposed to be a horror movie, but it was literally like a comedy. Like I was laughing during the trailer because it was just so ridiculous. It's like about this like family who has a pet chimpanzee, I think, ape maybe, I'm not sure, something like that, and they like treat it like a family member, and then all of a sudden one day it like goes crazy and starts trying to kill them. And oh my God, it is so, we need better horror movies, okay? Where is Jordan Peele when you need him? Like, please come save us. Like, that, like, an ape going crazy and killing you is scary. Like, that is a real thing that happened. Like, there's that lady who, like, was really weird with her monkey, and, like, it ended up, like, ripping her face off. Or it was weird, I think. So, that one was probably deserved. But the way the movie is portraying it, it's like, oh my God. Okay, anyways, tangent over. Where was I? Okay, so they're leaving the setting up for the party, and because the party's on Halloween, it's not that actual day. They're like late getting home, so Skylar's like, let's go through the cemetery, let's cut through there because it's a shortcut. Sadie's very, very clearly uncomfortable with it. She's a little scaredy cat, it seems, but Skylar, she has no fear. she's like, no, let's go through here. I do it all the time. It's fine. And as they're walking, there's like spooky, eerie vibes. There's like gargoyles and statues and like vines. And then they show a gargoyle coming to life. And it starts like following the girls, but they don't notice it because they're just yapping. And Skylar and her are just talking about fears. And she's like, I don't know why if Ryan likes me, he will just ask me out. And Sadie's like, well, he's probably scared. And Skylar's like, why would he be scared? The worst I can say is no. The girl, it's called fear of rejection. Look it up. And so while they're talking, the gargoyle like swoops down at them, but they don't notice. And it gets like shot out of the air by like this like beam of light. And then they walk away and they're still not noticing anything. Like, girls, I need you to have some better awareness. Did your parents not teach you to be aware of your surroundings? So then they show two people and like, you can't tell who they are. They're wearing like these mask things, who were the ones that shot the monster or the gargoyle out of the sky. And they're talking. They're like, the monster shouldn't be out this early. It's not normal. It's not a normal Halloween. So then it's the next morning, and Skylar asks her mom if she can have a later curfew to go to Ryan's party that night because it's Halloween now. And her mom is like, oh yeah, you don't have to have any curfew. And she's like, oh great. And she's like, because you're not going. And she's like, what? Mom? What do you mean? And she has a little teenage fit, and then she goes downstairs to ask her dad. She goes downstairs, and there's like in like the basement, it's like this whole like lab because her parents are doing research on mold, and there's like all this equipment and weird stuff that you probably wouldn't have in your house. And I also don't know if you're allowed to have in your house because it's probably like it's giving like meth lab low-key. And her parents are like, when you're 16 you can have a later curfew. And she's like, almost 16. And they're like, well, you're not 16 though. She's jumps around a little bit and goes back upstairs. And when she leaves, her parents open like this secret door in the lab, and this like huge big metal ball thing comes out of the room, like rolls out, and it's like smoke everywhere. There's like a little window where you can see the gargoyle. And guys, this specific scene, the effects in this movie is so bad. Like, where was the budget, guys? Come on. It was just like I don't remember it being this bad, but the gargoyle like comes to the window, and it's like, whew, guys, we could have done better than that, right? So clearly her parents were the ones that shot the gargoyle out of the sky, and they're like monster hunters, right? And the mold thing is just a cover. But Skylar has no idea that this is going on in her own house. And her parents don't want her to go to the party because of the monsters that are going to be out for Halloween. So she goes to school, and we find out that the party is held at this like McCrary Mansion, I think is what it's called, that is supposedly haunted, that is just in the town, and all the kids are scared of it. And that's where they were setting up the previous day, was in the mansion. And it's Ryan who's throwing the party, and his dad got permission from someone to use it for the party. It's giving rich boy. And then Ryan invites Skylar to come to their rehearsal that afternoon because they're going to be playing at the party, and they need to rehearse beforehand. And Myra hears him invite her and gets jealous and threatens her after Ryan walks away, and says she will make her life miserable if she takes Ryan from her, even though they're already broken up. So then Myra goes off with her bandmates, including Ryan, and they're walking up the stairs, and they notice that the sign to advertise that the band is going to be playing at the show, it's like hanging above the like stairwell. She notices that it's too low, and she's like, my name is too small. And Ryan's like, oh, I'll go get Skylar and have her fix it. And Myra's like, no, I can handle it. Okay. She's like, I got it, actually. We don't need Skylar. So she asks Ryan to give her a boost, like Henry did for Skylar. Ryan's like, you do realize that Skylar's had like 6 years of gymnastics, so that's why she's able to do this. And Myra's like, I don't care, I can do it, actually. So she goes over and like gets like backs up to get like a running start or whatever, and she like starts stretching, and the editing in this part is so funny because they add in like the like cracking noises when she's like, stretching, obviously to show that she's not very limber. And it was a great choice, I'm gonna be honest. Now, mind you, the sign is hanging above the stairwell, and so there's like hallway, stairs, sign is right above the stairs. So she's in the hallway about to run up and jump to fix the sign. above the stairs. So Ryan is standing right in front of the stairs and kneels down to give her a boost. And I mean, you could just use common sense and see this is not gonna work, right? Even if she goes straight up, like there's the risk of like coming down and like so she runs, jumps on his leg, of course, and just like flies right over down the stairs, falls down the stairs. So a couple hours pass, presumably. Trick-or-treating commences. There's monsters out and about. There's this little dog whose head gets really big and scares this lady. It's great. And then Skylar's parents are out trying to catch them, and they mention how there's way more monsters out way earlier than usual, and they like shoot their little weapons at them, and they like sends them to the holding place at the lab somehow or something, or they have like handheld things that like hold them. I don't know actually how it works. There's like a couple different ways. I think they're not very clear on all of the lore, but so Skylar then goes to the band rehearsal, and Ryan is singing because Myra is there in a neck brace from where she fell. Now, I just want to be clear. I feel as though she would have several broken bones if that fall was real, not just a neck brace. Okay? But, we can't expect complete reality from a DCOM. Like, that's just not what you watch these movies for. So, Ryan's singing, and Skylar's watching him with a loving look, and he notices that she's there, and he's like, cut. And he goes up there and he's like, it's awful, right? And she's like, no, I'm just not used to hearing you sing, because he has like bad stage fright, so he never sings. He's like, I hate my voice, but we have no lead singer since Myra's out with her neck brace. So then he gets the great idea to ask Skylar if she would like to sing with them at the party later. And she hesitates because obviously her parents told her that she couldn't go. But then she eventually agrees. And she goes home to get ready, which is crazy because shouldn't you rehearse with them when you don't normally sing with them, and you don't know what songs you're gonna sing or like, literally anything about the performance? Right. Then they cut to her parents' lab, and they're like talking about the guest of honor who is in the monster storage thing, who's been there. It shows like some lady, supposed to be scary lady's face in the like window of the thing, which they think might have something to do with all the monsters being drawn to their area, that the lady is stuck there. But she's been in there for like 15 years, so I'm not sure what that's all about. And their parents have a lab assistant named Cobb, I think is what they call him, and they leave him there to like babysit Skylar and make sure she doesn't leave the house while they are out catching monsters. And they also set an alarm on the house and tell her that if she opens any windows or doors, like, it's gonna go off. And Cobb's like, yeah, I don't have the code, so if anything happens, Her parents leave, and they're talking, and they're like, we probably should have started Skylar's training earlier because she has no idea what she is, and there's just this big family secret that Skylar has no idea about. But I mean, you can infer that they're talking about training her to be a monster hunter like them, but that they're waiting till she's 16. I don't know. Okay, and then they show Skylar on the stairs trying to call her friends to like make a plan to escape. Now, I don't know if this is an editing error or if this was purposeful. I can't imagine it was purposeful because, like, why? Because that's just not how phones work. So she has her phone, and it's like the old iPhones, and it's very clearly a video. Like, it has like the play button, and it has like the progress bar, and then behind it is like a picture of Ryan and his like contact information, and there's like a button that she can press to call him, and she like taps on it to make the like video play button stuff go away, because when you tap on a video to make it go, that's a thing. And then switches to her friend Sadie's contact info, I think, and it's like still there, and it's like, so I don't know if that was like the phone, like a video of the contacts, so to pretend that is like the contact information that she's using, but it's like a video for like the filming purposes, but they like forgot to swipe away like the video parts of it before like recording, or they forgot to edit that part out, or I don't know. It's very strange, and I don't think it was purposeful. I don't know why it would be purposeful, because that's not how phones work. Like videos, you can't call from videos. So anyways, somehow it works, and she calls Sadie, or she calls both of her friends, or they're together or something. I don't know. I think they're together, and she calls them, and she's like, I need your help to break me out of the house. Like, I have to go to this party to perform. I can't let Ryan down. So she says she's gonna cut the power to make the alarm system not work. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure most alarm systems work without power. A lot of them have batteries, right? Because I feel like I used to, at least the one in my old house, I feel like we had to change the batteries when it would beep and say it was dying. I don't know. And then she goes and gets ready and comes downstairs in her outfit. I don't know if it's supposed to be a costume. It's not really a costume, but it is quintessential 2010s Disney fashion. She's wearing like a green teal-y shirt with like a pinky red leather jacket, statement necklace, like flower patterned jeans and boots. Oh my god, it's perfection. But she's being so obvious, and Cobb is in the kitchen like playing a game and is like, are you sure you don't want to play this Jenga with me or whatever? And she's like, no, I'm just gonna go in the basement and do some laundry. And he's like, and so she like runs down the stairs, and he's like, there's no laundry in the basement, and goes after her. And she's like pulling the like levers on the power thing, and he's like, no, don't cut the power. And she's like, and then cuts it. And then all hell breaks loose, and there's smoke and lights and sparks flying everywhere, and just intense music starts, and all the monsters that were stored in the thing break out, and like there's just streaks of smoke where they're all flying different directions, and all these sirens go off, and there's like a low-key like an explosion in the basement, and they somehow get out through a door that's down there, I guess. And then they show the guest of honor that they showed earlier is this monster named Diamata, and she's just kind of a lady. Like, she kind of looks like the redheaded witch from Hocus Pocus a little bit. So she's like, where are the hunters? I'm talking about Skylar's parents. And then she calls her other two friends over, who's like, there's like this one like scarecrow guy, and then this old looking lady, I don't know, they're just other monsters. And she asks them whose fear they have been feeding on, and they say that it's Henry and Sadie, who are Skylar's friends. And Skylar's like, what the is going on? And Cobb is like, those monsters want to destroy your parents and possess your soul forever. And Skylar's like, right. What do you mean? And Skylar's parents notice that there's a whole bunch more monsters around. They're like, what the hell happened? So Skylar and her friends and Cobb are back in the basement and looking at everything that happened. And Cobb tells her all the lore about her parents and the business. They're fourth generation monster hunters. And her parents call Cobb to ask what's going on, why there's so many more monsters. And he's like, well, so everybody escaped, including Diamata. So, yeah, have fun with that. And they say that Skylar now has 15 years of fear coursing through her. They explain in a few minutes, but basically it means that since Diamata, she's been trapped for 15 years in the thing. So she hasn't been feeding on Skylar's fear. So she just hasn't had any fear. And now it's like, now that she's been released, she, like, all of the fear that she was supposed to have all of her life over like anything is now surfacing, because like each monster has a specific person whose fear they feed off of. And Cobb explains this, and he's like, so the monsters are astral projections of fear, and they usually only see them in dreams, but on days where there's a lot of fear around, like Halloween, they're able to take a physical form and like actually do stuff. And if they overwhelm you with fear, they can take over your body. So Diamata wants to do that to Skylar, presumably. And we find out that Diamata is one of the ancient ones. So she's basically an immortal who can't be destroyed, which is why they had her trapped so long. And the ancient ones latch on to the strongest hosts they can find. And she was previously attached to Skylar's grandfather, who was also a hunter, but he died because in the end, Diamata was too much for him, and so he ended up dying. out of a fear. I don't actually know. They weren't very clear on that part. So after he died, she went looking for a new host and found baby Skylar. But her parents were able to modify her grandpa's old weapons, and they made a way to trap an ancient one. And when they're explaining this, they show like flashback scenes, and Disney. You know, you have many faults, okay? You know, we can't, you have many faults. You have many areas of improvement. Money, don't think that's one of them, okay? I know you could have afforded better wig and better wig installation. Hire literally anyone. Literally get a wig. The wig they put on this mother to make her look younger, guys. I'm so disappointed in you, Disney. Like, what is that? Please. Anyways, so Skylar is like in denial. She's like, this isn't real. Like, I'm going to the party. Like, I can't do this right now. And so Cobb gets Sadie and Henry to go with her to protect her and loads all of them up with tools and gadgets that they can use to fight monsters if they run into any. Meanwhile, her parents are going to find Diamata and confront her, but she sets a trap for them and uses Skylar's voice to lure them into a trap and ambushes them with her two other friends, and they overwhelm them, and then they like make them disappear, which is like, okay, where'd they go? And then they show Skylar and her friends walking through the forest to get to the party, and a tree stump comes to life, and then they all like disperse, and the tree stump is running after Skylar, and she shoots it with one of the gadgets, and it actually disappears. And Henry's scarecrow monster is chasing him, and this monster actually pretty creepy if it had any other voice and if it wasn't in a Disney movie, you know what I'm saying? So he actually gets scared so bad that he like is frozen in fear, like literally like frozen and can't move and like can't talk or anything. And Cobb is back in the lab and sees this through, because Henry was wearing like a hat with a camera on it to like keep in contact with him, I guess. And so Cobb notices that this happened, so he brings a wheelbarrow to put Henry in and take him back to a lab to hopefully unfreeze him. Then they show what happened to Skylar's parents. They are now tied up in a room on some chairs, and it is actually Skylar's granddad's old lab, and that's where Diamata brought them. And she says she's going to scare them to death, and so she tries to and does like some stuff. And they're like, girl, you've had 15 years to plot your revenge, and this is the best you can come up with. And they're like, we are monster hunters. This isn't scary. And so then she threatens Skylar, and they start like reacting, and then she's like, ha 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 ha, I figured out how to scare you. Also, can I just say I love Cobb, the assistant? He's like classic, quirky, awkward, like kind of 2012 hipster vibe-ish, millennial. Kind of a crush on him. So then Diamata plans to go to the Halloween party and like scare Skylar, I guess. And but she says she needs a costume. And by needs a costume, she needs to possess someone's body. And who does she choose? Oh, just Myra, the redhead who hurt her neck. So she goes and goes into Myra and like becomes her, and it like automatically heals her neck. So of course, right? Of course. And so she plans, and she's wearing like this like red leather outfit now, and like has like all this makeup somehow. And so she goes to the party like that. So at the party, Ryan and the band are like they're like, okay, where's Skylar? Like we need to perform. And Ryan's like, I'll just do the singing. But he does not look too sure about it because, as we said before, he has bad stage fright. Skylar and her friends finally show up, and Skylar's like being very insecure because, again, 15 years of fear has opened up. And so she's like, oh my God, I'm like a pimple. Like everyone's looking at me. Like everyone's going to look at it. And of course, at this very moment, Ryan notices her and is like, Skylar's here, and like on the microphone, and a spotlight shines on her, and she's like, everybody's looking at me, and it like follows her all the way up to the stage. And Ryan's like, just lose yourself in the music, like you don't have to be scared, just look at me, like you'll be fine, no need to be nervous, as if he also doesn't have stage fright. So the band starts playing, and Skylar's just like staring out in the crowd with a nervous look on her face. And she doesn't sing, and it gets really awkward. But the band starts again, and she finally starts like quietly singing after looking over at Ryan and getting a little confidence boost. Also, by the way, the song Eats. It's called, I can't remember actually which one it is that's called, but I'll put it on the screen. And then Diamata in Myra's body shows up and interrupts the song and starts like laughing and and Skylar gets really scared and like runs off the stage, and Myra Diamata takes over and takes the mic and starts singing, and it's like Diamata's voice, so it's very like deep and raspy and like really creepy, and she like does this whole performance out in the crowd, and Sadie goes to find Skylar from where she ran off the stage, and she's like, I have this awful feeling in my stomach. I've never felt like this before. And Sadie's like, yeah, that's called fear and anxiety. Like, I've lived with that every day for my entire life. Same girl. Sadie then pulls out the tracker that like tracks the monsters, and Diamata's tracker is like a bigger circle, so they notice that big red circle, so they notice that she's there at the mansion, and they're like, oh no, we need to find her. And this whole time, Myra Diamata as one is performing for her life, okay? And it literally ends, she's like in the middle of a crowd and all the kids around her are just like staring at her, and it literally plays cricket noises. It's perfect. It's so good. But then they clap for her. Then she goes up on stage and tells Ryan that she's gonna go find a band that can actually play in tune, and she leaves. So Skylar finds a picture of her mom and an old man in the mansion, and she figures out that her granddad was actually, he was the McCrory guy, the McCrory Mansion fame. Skylar's like, I want to leave, like there's monsters here, like, and so he's like, no, we have to stay and protect our friends because we're the only ones that have the tools to stop them. And I've been scared my whole life, but it only gets worse when you run from it. Meanwhile, back at the lab, Cobb is trying to unfreeze Henry, and he succeeds, and Henry talks about how he's a coward, and Cobb gets him to buck up and help fix the monster holder thing with him. And then back at the mansion, the girls are searching the house for monsters, and they're all running around and hiding, and Sadie comes in, and they're able to successfully trap a monster, and they cheer, and it's really happy. And they call Cobb because they need more of the things that hold the monsters, the traps. I think they're called PCUs, I believe. Henry decides to be brave and bring the extra traps to the mansion. And Diamata and her friends see that the girls are getting more confident because they are successfully trapping a bunch of monsters. So they come up with a plan to terrorize all her friends to bring back the fear, because they notice that Skylar cares a lot about her friends and thinks that this will scare her. So they summon all of the other kids, I'm saying kids, they're like teenagers, all of their monsters, the ones that are specific to their fear, that feed off of their fear, which you would think they would already be there if it was Halloween, right? I don't know. Diamata leaves Myra's body and knocks her down the stairs again, but she's like fine. She's like, has anyone seen my neck brace? And while Henry is walking to the mansion, his scarecrow monster finds him, and they play a China Anne McClain song during this. Mind you, it's not Calling All the Monsters, which is her most iconic one. It's called I Got My Scream On, which is not as good. I feel like this would be a perfect scene for Calling All the Monsters because Diamata is literally calling all the monsters. But hey, maybe they didn't have the rights or something. So, although I'm sure Disney owned that song, I'm sure they could have put it in here if they wanted to, but I think it was for the show Ant Farm, like the actual, or maybe a different movie. I don't know. Anyways, all the monsters start flying in a cloud of smoke and start terrorizing their kid. Meanwhile, Henry is in the woods with his monster, and he finally is able to stand up to him, and it makes him less powerful, and he like sinks to the ground and like can't move or do anything. And he's like, please be scared. Please be scared. It's really pathetic, honestly. Can't believe I ever said he was scary. Diamata finds Skylar and starts talking down to her, but Henry yells at her like, be brave, stand up to them. It hurts them or whatever. And then so Sadie then tries to stand up to her monster, who her fear is more rooted into like not being smart. So she tries to stand up to her monster, and she's like, I'm smart and I'm capable. And the monster tells her she's stupid and tells her to spell the word goat, to prove that she's stupid. So she tries to spell goat. She's like G-E-E. And it's like, Sadie, come on, girl. I know you get all A's. You can't spell goat. But she's like so scared that she can't think, which I've been there. That's me in job interviews. I'm like, someone asks me a question and my mind literally goes blank. Skylar, in her effort to try to stand up to her monster, decides to sing. Because that is what she is scared of at that moment, and thinks that if she's able to sing in front of everybody, that it will make Diamata less powerful. So she goes to get Ryan to help and tells him to get the band. But when she's walking away, Diamata takes over Ryan's body. And all the kids run out of the mansion, and apparently it's connected to the cemetery. So there's all running around the cemetery, and they lock the gates, and so they're all just trapped running around, and it's chaotic, and there's just monsters and smoke going everywhere. So then Skylar comes out, and she goes on this platform to sing a song, and Diamata in Ryan's body is tells her that she's the worst singer on earth and tries to stop her from being courageous, and tells her that she looks like an idiot. Which, imagine the guy you have a crush on tells you look like an idiot. I would simply pass away. But she still is able to overcome her fear and starts quietly singing a song, and everyone just immediately stops running and looks at her, and then there's no ghosts or monsters for some reason. I don't know. It's just everyone's like, what? Can't believe she's singing. The song she sings is called Fearless. At first fearless. Not by Taylor Swift, but it's a banger, honestly. You guys should go listen. Add it to your Halloween playlist. And Ryan yells at her to stop, and Skylar sees his eyes glow red and realizes that Diamata is in his body. And so she tells him to do something that he's scared of, and she'll have to leave his body. And so he's like, will you go out with me? To Skylar. And she's like, yes. And so Diamata flies out of him. So also, but I have a question. I have a question, Ryan. Why were you dating why were you dating Myra if you liked Skylar? And why were you brave enough to go out with her? Maybe she asked him out. I don't know. I guess you're not scared to ask out people you don't like, maybe. I don't know. And finally, Sadie tries to stand up to her monster again and ends up spelling goat correctly. And then she tells her to spell another word, and she spells that correctly too. And then she gets her courage, and her monster disappears. Okay, low-key, when Sadie stood up to her monster, I low-key started tearing up. Maybe, I don't know what's wrong with me. Maybe because that's her fears, or I also have those similar fears. So I'm seeing her do that, I was like, wait, maybe the decom is decomming, and it's making me learn a lesson. So maybe in my next job interview, I'll pull a Sadie and kill it. So then Skylar and the band really start rocking out now that Ryan is no longer possessed by Diamata. Everyone's dancing and having fun, so all the monsters disappear because the kids aren't scared anymore. And then Diamata shows back up and asks Skylar, and she's like, ha ha ha, I'm glad you're having fun, but did you lose some parents earlier? And Skylar's like, uh-oh. So she runs off to look for her parents, and Sadie and Henry follow her up the stairs because they're in the granddad's lab. Oh, it's because Diamata flies off, and they follow where she goes, I think. So she goes out onto the balcony because that's where Diamata is, and the parents, and Diamata is up in the sky and has both of her parents holding them with her magic smoke that she has, and dangling them above the ground, up above the balcony. And Skylar's like, if you let them go, I'll let you take me instead. And Diamata's like, you know what? I'll take that deal, but you have to lose your blaster weapons and throws them out of reach. But little does she know that Sadie and Henry are hiding behind the wall. After Diamata puts her parents down, she sneaks and backs up and grabs the blaster from Sadie, and then shoots it at Diamata. And I mean, she's an ancient one, so a blaster's not going to do all that much to her, except for piss her off. And then she shoots her magic at her parents, and then they slide down the roof and have to hold on to this something, and that's in the roof, so they don't fall. And Diamata gets bigger because she's feeding on her fear, and they continue to have a standoff, and her parents tell her to stop being afraid, and that Diamata's feeding on her fear. And she's like, no, girl, she's feeding on your fear. Because her parents are those scared ones at that moment, because they're gonna fall off the roof. So she has Sadie and Henry distract Diamata while she goes to gather other supplies. So she gets like a rope and some stuff and walks out on the edge of the roof to get her parents. And Diamata gets stronger and gets like 3 heads. And so they get a bit of a shootout with the magic and the monster weapons and stuff. And finally Henry finds like this big monster gun, I guess, in her granddad's lab. Skylar, Sadie, and Henry all shoot her at the same time and finally are able to trap her. They trap Diamata, and then they cut to a different day, and Skylar is rehearsing with the band back in the band's garage, and Ryan is singing too, and they're doing like a little duet. It's called Had Me at Hello, another banger. Honestly, the music in this honestly, look, most DCOMs have good music. Like, that's one of their one of the best things about them, I'm gonna say. And this one is, I think that is what really puts this one over the edge, just the music. That's what makes it great. And Skylar does a little voiceover during like this outro scene talking about fear and how good it feels to stand up to their fear, and they show each one of the friends like clips of them facing their fears. Like Sadie is giving a presentation and she's killing it. It's like a little montage with the song in the background. And they show Henry like smiling at girls and standing up to his bully. And then Skylar gets Myra to come up and sing with her. So I guess they're friends now. And they like hug afterwards. And everyone's dancing and having a good time. And that's how it ends. Happy ending. As all DCOMs have, right? I don't know why I used to be obsessed with this movie. I don't know if obsessed. I would watch it like every Halloween. Does it hold up? No. Like, it's bad. It's a bad movie, objectively. But I enjoyed it. I had a good time watching it again. Like, if you want to just watch something silly this Halloween instead of something scary, I'd recommend it. I mean, it's probably wouldn't be my first recommendation. I would recommend Halloween Town and Twitches and all that ahead of this, just because the storyline's better and the, like, effects are better. But this one has music. Those two don't have, like, it's not really like a musical. I mean, this one's not a musical either, but it's like, has people singing in it. If you like that, maybe no one's gonna watch this. I don't know why. Literally don't watch it. But it's good for like nostalgic purposes if you used to like this movie. I don't know. Disney, bring back DCOMs. I guess Disney, maybe they do and they just put them on Disney Plus because no one watches cable anymore. I don't know. Bring back DCOMs. Bring back holiday themed episodes of TV shows. We're losing the ancient texts, okay? Streaming is ruining everything. Who could have predicted this? Anyways. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. And have a happy Halloween. Comment down below if you remember this movie and your thoughts on it and other Halloween movies you love, because I feel like I need to watch more. And also, what you're dressing up as for Halloween. I will be dressing up as Lorelai from Gilmore Girls, and boyfriend's gonna be Luke, because I didn't feel like buying a costume. That's a costume I can put together at home. Oh, also, I'm going to a trolley ghost tour ride around my city. Super excited about that. Hope I get spooked. Hope I get a ghost. Just kidding. I hope I didn't say that. No ghosts can come home with me. Anyways, see you guys next time. Bye.